Hi there, Fiona Pearman and Kate Bora, and we're continuing the conversation about confidence and power. And this week we're delving into how to be in your personal power, how to navigate it and reframe power for women. I think the context here is you don't have to become like someone else. Just because we've seen power exhibited, demonstrated in a certain way, that doesn't mean that's how power has to be. We get to lead and show up on our own terms and from a place of authenticity, which is where we want to start. The first point is to be self aware, be yourself. Unpack your beliefs about power. Start to understand, what does power mean to me? Get curious. Do I have negative ideas about power? And from that, start to question and get some clarity around your strengths, potentially some of your blind spots, and maybe your values. Know what's important to you, because the more self aware you are, the easier it'll be to stand in your power.
Yeah, I think next it's about leveraging your physical power. Power isn't just a mindset, it's a felt experience in the body. And here we're thinking about posture, breath, and voice. When we're in our power, if you think about that now, many describe it as feeling grounded, open, upright, and energized. As compared to when we're out of our power, maybe we feel really shaky, nervous, hesitant, or possibly a little bit disconnected or detached. And so our ability to use our body intentionally to help regulate our nervous system, especially when we're in states of stress or scrutiny, can be, in fact, is probably the most powerful stratagem when we think about power and confidence. Many of you will be familiar with Amy Cuddy's work on the power pose, go into the bathroom and hold the pose. And really, what we're hearing here is we're just activating the body to really support the mindset of power.
And from there, it's really important to be aware of where your power leaks away. What are your power leaks? And they're often subtle little behaviors, thoughts. They can be habits that are draining away and undermining our confidence and our impact. Very often, this will come from conditioning. We were taught since we're very small girls, be likable, be nice, don't rock the boat, make sure other people don't feel uncomfortable. All of those stories that we've internalized and believed often mean we give our power away. And so notice yourself. If we end up over apologizing or over explaining, if you're avoiding conflict or those more tricky conversations, or if you're taking on even too much responsibility, all of these are examples of the way we just let our power leak away. Once we're aware of them, we can support each other, and you can help yourself to consciously plug them to regain that energy and clarity.
Yeah, I think next, being really intentional or connected with your why is critical. When stepping up or stepping into something that feels a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit overwhelming, the clearer we are around for what purpose, then we're able to coach ourselves through that and says, actually, this is really important. This is aligned with my purpose. And actually saying yes to this or asking that question or whatever the act of power looks like, because it's in service of something more than our fear, right? It's more important. Speaking up is more important than potentially the fear in that moment of looking stupid. It means we're more likely to keep ourselves accountable and more likely to leverage ourselves to take small acts of confidence or to step into a place that may feel a little bit uncomfortable and potentially even risky.
Yeah. I think, of course, we're always going to say be boundaried, be really conscious and aware of your capacity. Too often we're saying yes to too many things, and we tend to take more responsibility than belongs with us. Know where your responsibility finishes and be prepared to hold that. And we always encourage women to experiment with saying no without over explaining it. Just get just often or every now and again, when you notice perhaps that you're already full up, just try saying no, or not now, or could somebody else do that? The little ways we say no can be really helpful in retaining our power.
Yeah, and I think is a really good place for us to start and experiment with our relationship with power. Our ability to hold a boundary is really us saying yes to ourselves and no to someone else. And when we say yes to ourselves, we're saying yes to taking up space, and that we are more important in that moment than other priorities. Next, be visible. Be an advocate for yourself, for your cause. Don't wait for things to be perfect. Have the perfect language to be in the perfect scenario with the perfect person. Speak up, be seen, share your perspective, share your wins, advocate for your value, and let people see the value that you bring.
Of course, to do all this, we want you to be courageous. This is going to mean you're going to take some small risks. We call them small acts of confidence. You might want to call them small acts of power. We're going to need to face into some fear and some discomfort. And you don't have to roar. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You can be courageous through quiet power. It's often really underestimated. We've been in rooms where they haven't shouted it, but boy, have they had influence and impact when they've just spoken truth in a really congruent and really grounded way. I think that has a big impact on influencing and persuading others. Power doesn't need to dominate to be effective. And I think the other piece with courageous is let's be unapologetic about our ambition. Let's just step in and take it.
Yeah, I think in the first video in this series, we talked about the definition of power and talked about this power with rather than power over. And so, looking for opportunities to be collaborative, it doesn't mean having to go it alone, right? We can co-create, we can connect, we can elevate others, but not have to shrink to keep the peace. And so seeking out like-minded people, seeking out people with diverse skill, capability, experience who can partner with you, who you can work collaboratively with, can be a really useful way to step into your power, but being cautious and wary not to kind of step back to the support position, to not shrink, not pull back, but just to still remain in your power.
Yeah, I think finally, and we're always going to say this, reclaiming power is likely to feel uncomfortable and risky at first. So be compassionate and kind to yourself. And start with those small steps. What are the small actions I can take? Have realistic expectations of yourself. Don't think that you have to do this all at once. What is the way that you can give it a go? It may not go perfectly. Learn from that and be kind as you go. Back yourself the way you would if it was a friend who was giving this a go.
Lots of different ways that you can use to step into your power. We're going to suggest just pay attention to what really resonates for you and to start experimenting in taking small acts of confidence, noticing the feedback and using that feedback to take your next small act of confidence. Team, we're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed today's confidence conversation, we'd love to hear from you. And of course, we'd love for you to share today's video with anyone in your world who you think might benefit from it. If you'd like to hear more from us, head over to our YouTube channel. Hundreds of videos over there of various topics related to confidence and, of course, the other videos in this series that we're doing on power and confidence. And if and when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au.